What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Starlight Beacon as we review The Bad Batch. This is episode 7, and what a great episode it was, man. We're back to form. This, for me, definitely in the high. This is an 8, 8.5, maybe 9. This was a great episode, man. There's a lot in here. There's a lot to get into. There's a lot of potential connections that we're going to have to discuss and break down. My man Wu-Tang Wells is in the chat. He also got Ducky Momo. Ducky Momo says he'll catch the replay. He can't catch the stream tonight. All good, brother. Thank you for tuning in. And be sure to leave a comment when you watch the replay because I will read them. Captain's Log. Excited about tonight's discussion. Somebody is psyched. Yes. I don't know if you noticed that, but I did hit the wrong button there on the intro. Jumped ahead of myself. But hey, let's get into it. First thing right off the bat. Rex. You know what I'm saying? We've been waiting for Rex to pop into this series, so it's no surprise that he was in this episode. I think we all speculated on who the potential robed figure could be in the last episode. I heard a lot of names being dropped, from Ahsoka Tano to Rex to Mace Windu, which that was my dark horse picks, by the way. If you didn't watch the episode, I had picked Mace Windu to be a surprise cameo because that would just blow the mind of every Star Wars fan. But that didn't happen. I think Rex was probably the most logical guess for everybody who was up on the series. Bail Organa was a good one, but he was just too far. That just wouldn't have worked this early in the series. And then who else? We said Saul Guerrero. We said a few others. But anyway, it was Rex. And then we get that intense scene at the beginning when the Bad Batch, after they're, reunited and they do their hello, how are yous, what you've been up to. Rex finds out that they still have their inhibitor chips in. And that's when things get real. Because at that moment, if you watch season 7 of the Clone Wars, you know why it is he got so intense. He's literally watched, and he himself turn against their will on Ahsoka and all the other Jedi. And it wasn't until Ahsoka was able to remove that inhibitor chip that he become back to normal. And unfortunately, they were not able to do all that for the other clones that were on board that Jedi cruiser. So, the headaches, of course, we all knew that the headaches that Wrecker was having was tied to the inhibitor chip. And so, that kind of sets us on our course. We've got Rex now being the lead, which I kind of figured would be the case. Like, he's the one who's going to be the catalyst for them removing their inhibitor chips. He's definitely going to force the issue, and he definitely forced the issue. But then we find the team heading to Braca. And for those of you who don't know, this is actually a newer, well, I don't know if it's newer, but it's a planet that we've seen before if you are a gamer. This is the planet that we start out on if you've played Jedi Fallen Order, which when it was when they said it was Braca, I was like, yo, I got super excited because I was not anticipating us going to that planet. Because as you know, Cal Kestis he's actually on that planet at the same time as the Bad Batch are, which is cool. We don't see Cal in this episode, but he's definitely there. If you don't know who Cal Kestis is, he is a Jedi Padawan, or he was a Padawan during Order 66. He was about 12 years old. This is not to be confused with Kanan or Caleb Dune, which we saw in episode 1 of this series. Those are two completely different Jedi, but they're around the same age. Caleb is 14, and Cal Kestis is 12 at the time of Order 66. And Fallen Order takes place 5 years after Order 66. So if you didn't know, Cal and Kanan are only 2 years apart, which I just found out today, which is pretty cool because that means, there's some possible connections there with Cal and the Bad Batch, or the rest of the um, Star Wars expanded universe at this early stage of the Empire. Um, I'm excited because something else I discovered while I was talking to Star Wars Santa over in his Discord is that one of the writers, who's got 7 writing credits for The Bad Batch, is also one of the writers for Jedi Fallen Order. And so when I found that out, that got me super excited because, let me find his name real quick before I get ahead of myself. Matt Michnovitz. I may have butchered that last name, but he's the one. He's got 7 writing credits for The Bad Batch, and he was one of the lead writers for Fallen Order. And if you notice, if you played Fallen Order, the planet Braca, there's a lot of things from the game that appeared in, like minor things, but like kind of important things, like the rope that they use to traverse the Venator is something that you use quite frequently and see a lot of in the game. And now finding out after I watched the episode that connection is authentic is very exciting, because I could tell he probably was one of the key writers on this episode, because his fingerprints was all over this, because the connections they're not subtle at all if you've played the video game. But that's actually exciting, because that opens up the door to possibly see Cal Kestis, probably not in this season, but maybe in a later season. We also don't know where Cal is. Well, we know where Cal is, but we don't know, his full story yet. That's still being told in the video game, but it's, there's possibilities for things and characters and events to be now connected. So that's why that was kind of exciting for me. What else? Now, the shout out to the call out to the original trilogy with the I forget what that thing is called. The worm monster, the octopus. I forget what that thing is called. If anybody in the chat can pull that up real quick. But yeah, that's the same thing that Han and Leia and Luke had to fight in the trash compactor on A New Hope. That's what attacks Wrecker. That's what attacks the crew as they're making their way to the medical room of the Venator. And then, of course, as this thing gets started, once they start to boot it up, Wrecker once again has his headaches. And back to something I was saying earlier, when this series debuted, I think that Wrecker would probably, he might be, I've got my money, if I were betting, that either Echo or Wrecker aren't going to make it through this series. And we got real close to that in this episode, because his inhibitor chip, Wrecker's inhibitor chip, went full force. It turned completely on, and he turned on the rest of the squad. And man, that was an intense moment, man. That was like, I honestly didn't know where that was going to go. I kind of felt like I knew they were going to take the chip out. I knew they were going to find a way to get the chip out, but I didn't know if he was going to survive. But man, that whole fight sequence is intense, because the whole time we've seen Wrecker, he's been like this fun loving, just wrecking ball of chaos. But when that inhibitor chip turned on, he got laser focused. Like all of the laughing and joking went away, and he became just like a killing rampage machine. And that is like, that's frightening. And so you have to wonder, we know Crosshair's personality a little bit from season 7 of the Clone Wars, prior to the inhibitor chip enacting. Gotta wonder how much of his base behavior is now on 10 because of the inhibitor chip. Like, if we were to remove the inhibitor chip, where does that put him? The Dianaga. Thank you, Captain's Log. I was blanking on that. That's the little that's the octopus monster, Star Wars octopus monster thing that they got attacked by. Dianoga. But yeah, all of that. There were some other people were saying that there were some other call outs to the original trilogy. I haven't really noticed that much. I think I got lost in the Braca stuff and us being on Braca. So if there were any other like original trilogy references, I completely missed them because I was like, yo, Fallen Order, because that's one of my favorite games in Star Wars. Like, it might be one of my favorite games of all time. One of the best stories. That's an incredible narrative. I can't wait to dive back into. I know there's a sequel has been announced, and that's on the way. And if you have the next gen consoles, I believe the update, the visual update, came out today. So if you have Fallen Order and you got a next gen console, you should definitely reinstall that on your next gen and go play that. 9 out of 10. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, everybody, let me know where you rank this episode on a scale of 1 to 10. I gave it an 8.5. It might be a 9. My mom says a 9 out of 10. I can believe that, man. This was a really, really good episode, setting up so many other things. And we get that. I also have to say too, after Wrecker gets subdued and he's back on the table and we get the inhibitor chips removed, Omega once again showing her heightened perception in her, like, it's not force sensitivity, like, it's just, she just has this uncanny, this enhanced level of perception. Like, it goes back to that conversation she had with Rex when they interacted for the first time. She asked him, or he told him that he was a first generation clone, and he asked her, how did she know that? He said, because the lines on your forehead. Like, it's like they're doing all of this intentionally. They're showing you and wanting you to believe that there's some type of like force sensitivity with the character of Omega, but at the end of the day, part of the force sensitivity and the Jedi skill set is perception and their ability to perceive things at an enhanced rate. And I believe that the Kaminoans have been able to engineer some of those Jedi-like traits in the Bad Batch members. And hers just so happens to be perception. That's the hill I'm going to die on until I am proven wrong. But anyways, back to the episode. The setup for next week, man, we're going to have a showdown. Next week is the big mid-season finale. The scrappers at the end of this episode were, if you notice, those two, so the two characters on that platform that called the Empire basically told them that the Bad Batch were there. Those masks that they were wearing are eerily similar to Revan's mask, and I know they did that intentionally, but I just want to call that out. And if anybody else noticed how similar those masks look to Revan's mask, like, let me know in the chat, because I know I'm not crazy. I mean, the mask design, the shape of like the eye slit, even the cowl that they wear over the mask, all of it is so it's giving me Revan vibes. But not to say that there's any connection to them and to Revan. I think it's just an intentional design choice by the art team, but that similarity is undeniable. My other thought is, at the end of this episode, the Bad Batch do not leave Braca. They're still on Braca. So if we, based on the footage that we saw from the trailer, we're going to have this finale on Braca. There's footage from, I believe, Raxus. That's the only location that we have yet to see. That might be in episode 9. I don't know if they're going to squeeze all that into episode 8, unless, episode 8 is like another hour long episode as a mid-season finale, which I would not be opposed to. Like, I'm definitely down for an hour long episode. Because watching Loki yesterday, was that yesterday? Wednesday? Those hour length episodes feel real good, man. Like, especially when the story is moving and is well written. Like, at the end of the day, whether it's 30 minutes or an hour or hour and a half or 4 hours, it's about the pacing and the story and the writing and making it easy to follow along and to keep you interested and engaged the entire time. And they've been able to do that with this show, but I wouldn't complain about another 30 minutes added to these episodes. But with all that said, we will see Crosshair. There's going to be a big showdown next episode. Next episode probably will feel like episode 1 all over again. I'm anticipating that this is going to be a very, very good episode for next week. It might feel like a part 2 of this one. Like it probably would just pick right up where we left off. But I also got to say, with Rex, I'm speculating that, one, we know Ahsoka's going to appear in this show in some form or fashion for an episode, maybe 2 episodes, probably not many. But I am curious to see when they split, because Rex and Ahsoka, when we see them, on screen together for the first time in Star Wars Rebels, they hadn't seen each other in what seemed like a long time, like several years. At least that's what was implied by that interaction. Now, we know with season 7, that whole showdown happened. They go their separate ways. I was thinking that was the last time, Rex and Ahsoka saw each other. But with this show and how things are going, we know Ahsoka was, tied in early to the Rebel Alliance. She's got a connection with Bail Organa if you read the Ahsoka novel. So she begins operating as Fulcrum. That's her call sign. Very early in the Alliance, in the early years before it's even an Alliance, when they're just a bunch of rebel cells around the galaxy, operating as rogue resistant forces. Similar to Saw Gerrera's partisans, they're probably, at this time period, they're going to be Saw Gerrera's partisans. They're going to be the largest rebel cell in the galaxy. And that's not saying much because they're very small in comparison to the Empire, but side by side to the other cells, they're the best organized and they have the most numbers. I think that Rex is working closely with Saw because they've got a connection. They go way back, all the way to the Clone Wars. Rex trusts Saw and Saw trusts Rex, and I think that will be where Rex goes, and Ahsoka is more on the Bail Organa and what's my girl? Dang, I forget her name. Anyways, because the partisans and the rebels, from what we saw in Rogue One, they've got a ideological difference in how they operate. Like, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that in Andor, because it was confirmed that Saw Gerrera, Forrest Whitaker, will be reprising his role as Saw in that show. So I think we'll see a lot of that philosophical difference between the partisans and what would become the Rebel Alliance. That's very interesting. But that's also a way to keep Rex and Ahsoka from interacting with one another, and they can also operate and work with the Bad Batch without even crossing paths. But this is still very early in the timeline, so it's possible that they interact again. the fallout happens with the partisans. Rex goes with Saul, and they just never see each other after that, or Rex goes under the radar. It's a lot of things that could possibly happen that would um, cause Rex and Ahsoka to not be in communication with one another. But man, this is exciting. Like, this is like, I'm seeing how they're laying the groundwork for a lot of what's to come, especially with the shows and the content that they have that is based in this time period. So, you know, that's something that we got to look forward to. Is actually getting me more excited for Andor, because, you know, I'm thinking that there's going to be a lot of connections to Andor in this show, and vice versa. Whether or not we'll see the Bad Batch in Andor, I'm pretty sure that they will be mentioned by name at minimum. The partisans will be mentioned. They're more than likely going to be a big part of the show. The Kenobi series too, which that was someone also that we were speculating could be a possibility, but that, you know, at the end of the day, that's just way too high profile for Obi-Wan to be openly interacting with clones and rebel forces at this stage in his exile. Like, that's I think that's way too early. See, let's go to the comments. So we got a 9 out of 10 from the Captain's Log. Do you think Fennec is going to sneak up on the Bad Batch next episode? Probably. I'm speculating that we may see who her direct contact is. I don't know if this was like a direct contact bounty that she has, or if it was just a contract that she got through the guild. Either way, it'll probably be revealed in this episode, next episode. There is some footage of her in what looks like a wreckage from the trailer. So I'm thinking that's on Braca. She'll probably be the first one to respond. I mean, those agents that the scrappers that called the Empire, she may know them. Like, they may be contacting her. It may not be the Empire that they're contacting. So she may contact the Empire as she's on her way to Braca to deal with the Bad Batch. But I mean, that's kind of my speculation. We'll see her definitely in the next episode, and then I think we'll see where her true loyalties lie. Because, like I said, when she popped up in that first episode, what was that, episode 4 or 5? I said that it was probably, you know, she's probably not going to be a absolute villain. She's just a mercenary. Like, she's got a job and she's going to do her job, but she's going to do it the right way, if you know what I mean. But it does leave room for her to be, you know, more of a free agent. Like, I don't think she'll be an Imperial loyalist. I think she'll take jobs from whoever is paying the most. So that could lead her to jobs with the Alliance, as well as jobs with the Empire, and jobs with the Hutts, and with everyone else. And, you know, there's some rumors about the Boba show that came out, and I'm going to talk about all of that, because we got a lot of exciting news regarding the Boba Fett show. We got some Obi-Wan news. We got some Andor stuff. So I'll be talking about that on Sunday. So not to get sidetracked on this show, since this is about the Bad Batch. But yeah, no, there's a lot more stuff that we can talk about in regards of Star Wars as a whole, and we'll do that on Sunday. OG Coop Daddy Yoda said, Bad Batch episode 7, loving the animation, story, and the actors who provide the voices. Yes, this is I was talking about that earlier, like 8.5. That's my score. That's hilarious. We gave the same score. You know, the cinematography and the camera work in this is the strongest in any of the animated shows thus far. Like, it is far superior. Like, I can tell that Dave Filoni and team have taken what they've learned from shooting The Mandalorian and being on set with that, and probably, you know, the sequel trilogy as well, because he was on set for a lot of the shooting for the sequel trilogy. But he was definitely more hands-on with the actual making and production of The Mandalorian, as we know. And I think he's taken a lot of those beats and a lot of the things that he has learned from that show and applied them directly to the Bad Batch, and it shows because it feels like live action, more so than any of the other animated shows have. And season 7 was probably, the closest to live action as far as how it was shot, of any of the seasons of Clone Wars and Rebels. And this is just taking it to another level. So definitely agree with that assessment. Gonna hang around a few more minutes. Let me know if y'all got any questions in the chat. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm sticking to this 30-minute thing. I like it. There's no need to 30-minute episode, 30-minute recap. Just makes sense, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, but next week is going to be good. We got a really good episode next week. We've also, there's been some speculation about whether or not we'll get a mid-season trailer. I think we will, but it probably will not come out next week. We'll get it before episode 9 premieres the following week. That's my estimate. That's my hypothesis. Definitely. And if you're watching this on replay later after the live stream has ended, definitely be sure to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and subscribe, and share as well, because I read all the comments. So if you do post a comment after this has posted, I will read it and I will respond to it. So if you have any questions or if you want to make any type of comments, man, go ahead and do that. And you can also join us in the Discord, because we have these conversations all the time over there as well. And I love talking Star Wars. I also love talking about Marvel and anything else that we may talk about over there. I mean, we had a basketball discussion last night. That was fun. We were talking about the playoffs. We're going to be using the stages a lot more than we have been, so definitely look forward to that. We debuted the Black Mark, what was that, Wednesday, I believe, Tuesday or Wednesday. But there's a link to our Discord. I don't see any more questions popping in, so I'm probably going to sign out. Be sure to tune back in tomorrow night, because we will be having another episode of the Cookout. We're getting close. The 27th is actually our 1-year anniversary of Gumbo. So the 27th is actually a Sunday, so we'll do something that Saturday on the 26th. It'll probably be a very special episode. Don't know the details, so I won't promise anything, but we'll have something special in store for sure. But yeah, thank you. Oh, got a comment. Wait a second. Which characters do you think will be eliminated? So Echo is my first. That's the safest bet, because his arc has really concluded. His arc kind of sort of concluded in the Clone Wars in season 7. So I would say Echo is probably the safe bet, but Wrecker is up there for me. Like I don't, that would really tug at the heartstrings, because this episode almost, I would say, foreshadowed that in many ways. And I wouldn't be surprised if Crosshair takes him out. Like, I think Crosshair is going to take out one of the members. They have also said that Echo wasn't technically a member of the Bad Batch, because he's not a enhanced clone. He came in after. So, I mean, even the Kaminoan said that. So I just feel Echo right now and Wrecker are kind of sort of on the chopping block narratively. Echo, because, like I said, his story is concluded. Tech still has some because I see Captain Slog saying Echo over Tech. Yes, Echo. His story's done, man. Like I don't know how else they can use that character. Tech is newer. Like all of the members of the Bad Batch are pretty much um are new, so I think they'll be the last option to the story. I mean, we've had what season was that? Season 5 or 6 that we thought we lost Echo, and then he comes back in season 7. But that arc really, in my opinion, just that was the end of it. So for him, for his story, I think he can make a noble sacrifice to save the team, and it will be like very emotional because the longtime fans, we've got a connection with Echo. We've seen everything that he goes through, and so I think a lot of people who are new to the character will feel the same way. But for the Clone Wars fans, like it'll definitely hit us a little different. But I'm bracing myself to lose Echo and or Wrecker, man, because Wrecker, man, that would be devastating to Omega if Wrecker goes. And that would also put them in a bind because whoever it is, I think Crosshair is going to be the one that takes them out, and that's going to put them in the Bad Batch. That's going to put them in a predicament. Like, is he still worth saving? Which is where I think Omega will possibly be the one who convinces them that it's still, it's not. He doesn't intend, like, he doesn't mean to do any of this. Like, he's under control of the inhibitor chip. I think she kind of foreshadowed that in the first episode. So that's my hypothesis on that. But thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to sign out. And as I always say, peace, love, blessings, and may the force be with you always.